Welcome, my Magic Maker friend. Here we are at episode 10, which is our landing place for this season. So we're in season 3, all season long, exploring the air element and the evolution of your story. That's what we've been doing all season long, and here we are, we're at the end. So does that mean the end of the story? Is this the bit where we get to claim our evolved stories? A little bit of yes and a little bit of let's play. So in this anchoring, what I want to support us in is how can this work and inspiration of evolving our stories feel anchored within us? Because sometimes I think that the work that we do on ourselves, for ourselves, can feel a little bit like never-ending story. We're always working on the next thing. At what point do we get to anchor and arrive? So together today, we're going to anchor and arrive. That's my intention. I'm also, towards the end of the episode, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the actual evolution of this podcast, You Are the Magic, because the story's progressed, plus also some things coming up for Big Life Magic. All of that towards the end, but we're going to anchor in now, and we're going to start with this morning. This morning I met with Tosca. Tosca was my dedication last episode, plus I believe it was episode 2, where Tosca was the guest here this season talking about the truth about our inner critics, which is a part of a step you might take in evolving your story. Anyway, Tosca and I joined this morning because we had some time scheduled to support each other as amazing women and business owners and podcast hosts. And we decided to join together to support each other in like a review, like our own anchoring. And Tosca asked me a question, which Tosca often asks me, highly recommended question. And the question is, what are you celebrating? And what came out, which I knew to be true and I wanted to celebrate it, but I'm now going to choose to anchor into it, is this. What I wanted to celebrate and am celebrating right now is I allowed myself, mostly in this season, in season 1 and 2 as well, but mostly in this season, my friends, if I'm telling you the truth, I allowed myself to be the channel I desire to be. So in the evolution of me, Deb D, part of my story is I just want to continue to open up more and more to hearing what spirit, my intuition, and the greater universe want to tell me so I can tell other people and we can all evolve. It's a part of what I'm working on this lifetime, not in 2024. I'm talking this lifetime. And when Tosca asked me, what do you want to celebrate? I was like, I want to celebrate the building of my confidence in the channel, because what I've done this season is I knew kind of what I wanted to say and I knew what stories I wanted to share in particular episodes. But what did I want to say about that? I didn't plan any of that. I didn't script any of that. What I chose to do was to trust my channel, to do the work I know that opens up my channel, which is my grounding and getting ready, saying the prayers, doing all the things. And then when I would go live, I would just like, let it be live. Let it come through. Oh, my ears just, this is one of my clairaudient things. My ear goes crazy. Let it be live. Let the channel be alive. So my friends, let's play, because that's what we're going to do right now. Because Tosca reminded me, this is one of my superpowers that I'm working on evolving right now. And I want to share it in this way because I believe it is actually this truth that comes through the channel too. So rather than doing a summary of the season and where we've been and what we've learned, because you know, you can do that. go back to episode 1 and flick through which episode do I want to listen to again, or which voice do I need to be in my ear reminding me about this part of my evolution. It's all there. But what I'm going to do for us now, my friends, is I'm going to open up the channel and we're going to see what comes through. What wants to anchor at the end of our air season? Now, before I do that, I just kind of need to say it out loud so that it's kind of like helps me to clear and get into the spot. This feels a little bit risky because this is the most kind of, I really don't know what's going to come through. In other episodes, there was a sense of like the episode gave a little bit of direction. So take a big, deep breath with me now, because here we are going to the edge. And you know what I say? Flying can only be achieved if you leave the edge. So here I am coming to the edge for us all. What do we need to know to anchor all we have explored this season in the evolution of our beautiful, magical stories, therefore, our beautiful, magical lives? So I'll just allow for a second. Yeah, and the first thing coming through is, please don't rush. There is no need to rush or force your evolution. And if you've tried to do that, you'll probably realize that it creates like a crash or a whole heap more tension. But what I'm kind of tuning into is this sense of like, wow, what happens if we make more space? And then inside that space, we're allowed to have some fun. We're allowed to be creative. We're allowed to even get extreme. Like, allow ourselves to get to the scream that is wanted, that helps to release, to then move into the next evolved part. Because I think when we're talking about evolved stories and wanting to arrive somewhere, we get a lot of focus on the destination and we want proof that we're going to get there. And all that matters is the getting there. And we miss so much that is possible in the story, in the actual story that is evolving, in the time that it takes to really get to know yourself, to really figure out, how am I in my way, to really figure out what is trying to come through you for your highest good. So in the evolution of our stories, let's all just take a big, deep breath and affirm right now, wherever I am, it's perfect. I was supposed to be just right here, because today, there's things for me to discover in my evolved story. We don't always have to be tripping to the future to where we want to get. Where are we today? And what can my intuition tell me today? What's possible now? Like, I'm thinking, like earlier today, I really thought, well, take some time, Deb, and map out, what do you want to say for this season summary? And that's when my intuition said to me, don't map it out, just say it. I didn't know that yesterday. I thought this morning I'd be mapping this out. And instead, my intuition said, please don't. Please just play. So I'm going to invite this first. We're all just going to calm down. We're not going to rush. We're not going to force. We're going to allow ourselves some time, space, grace, and we're going to invite the play. Yes. Also anchoring in our evolved stories is, there's this. There's some parts of your stories you're going to have to go through a couple of times. There might be a particular resistance that wants to return. And rather than feeling like, God, I didn't do it right the first time, now I have to do it again, let's not think about it in that way. Rather than seeing it in the I'm either passing or failing. See it in the evolution and the spiral of it. Because we will come back to some lessons because they're ready for deepening, or there's more there that we didn't quite glean out the first time. Yeah, we do return to particular resistances, sometimes because we're resisting, and sometimes it's because that's actually a part of the evolution. You are supposed to go there 3, 5, 7 times to deepen and really get it into the body and kind of work through some kinks. So we're also going to give ourselves that. It is not a linear journey. I may work through a resistance. I may start to call in her. I may start to see the story evolving, and then, oh, I'm back to an old story or an old resistance. If you are, breathe in there and say, well, hello, here we are for today. So today I'm back here, or I'm not even back here, I'm just here. It's on my path in front of me. What do I need to know today? So we're not forcing, we're not rushing. It's definitely not a race. Oh, I just got that one really clear. It is not a race. You do not get a gold star if you get to whatever your imagined finish line is faster than anybody else or what you thought was going to happen. Not a race. And we've got a lot of space. And in the no forcing, this is also what else I'm receiving in the no forcing. When we're evolving in our own stories, we can't force anybody else to evolve in their stories. As we evolve, there's ripples of energy that will come out literally from your auric field, from your thinking and from new ways that you're feeling, which will change dynamics around you. It may change what you want to do every day, the way you want to start your day, or it may change things that you don't want to do anymore. And it may cause ripples for other people around you because you're changing. And so that's going to change their relationship with you. We can't kind of lasso people and say, hey, I'm evolving, come with me. That doesn't work. Trust me, I tried that one. It really doesn't work. It causes a massive mess. But as we are evolving, not only are we not forcing others to come with us, but we're also needing to understand that some of these ripples will be pushing away from us what we don't need or we can't actually take into the evolved story, the next chapter. And sometimes these are really painful. This has actually happened to me this season where there was a key relationship in mine that it fell apart and I don't know what's going to happen. And it really hurt and it really knocked me in ways I wasn't expecting. And I can also see within my own evolved story, it also brought me some lessons around standing up for myself, around speaking from a truth that is new for me. It brought me that in my evolved story. And sometimes in our evolution, we're going to be asked to let go of some things that are not needed anymore, or they're just not connected to where you're going. And letting go is not easy. It can hurt, or we can be resistant because you don't want to. So we've got some space and some grace, and we've got some letting go, and we've got some allowing, and we're not forcing ourselves or anyone else. And then the next thing I'm receiving is just be honest with where you are. Where are you on your path at this point? Because there's definitely some points on the path where you are being asked to stretch the boundary, go beyond the comfort zone, trying some new things. which all lead and breathe life into the evolution. And there's also some parts on the journey where you're being asked to move slowly, maybe even not moving at all and finding stillness, because something deeper is happening there, maybe around forgiveness or a real release and letting go of a karmic connection or a thought pattern. So acknowledging where you are, and not only acknowledging it, but allowing its full expression. Because there's going to be some parts where you're going to be more in like a healing cocoon part of your evolution, where it's more internal, it's more tender. What's possible for us all if we just actually allow ourselves to be where we are when we're there? If I'm in a phase where the next few weeks are some deeper healing for me, then I'm going to allow that. Because what happens after that is the next thing. To allowing where you are to just be a truth that anchors you. And then here, this is the last thing. I'm getting this as the last thing. You're allowed to relax. You are allowed to put the baton down. You are absolutely allowed to say, do you know what? I want a break from evolving. I want a break from healing. I'm just going to call in some fun or just some freedom to do whatever I want for a bit. Because I think sometimes, particularly for us, who I'm imagining is you, if you're listening to this or watching me now, like we are on the spiritual path. We do want to continue to evolve. We want to learn our love lessons. We want to get deeper connected to our intuition. We want this. We're working it. And we're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to just let it be for a while. Because we can get healing weary. Like it feels like you've been working on yourself for how many years? And you know what? Do you see what you're noticing here in that working through? There is no actual finishing line. Our stories evolve. We do arrive in a new place, but then it's just going to continue to evolve, my friends. Because that's what your spirit's doing here, earthbound. Going, giddy up, let's keep going. So when you hit places where you could completely just let go for a minute and just be, oh, please give yourself that. Please allow yourself to take a break. So just anchoring all of this in, and there's something there that I said that is for you today. Maybe today you need the break, or maybe today you just need to acknowledge where you are, and it may not be exactly where you want to be, but it is where you are, and that's where you want to work from. Or maybe you need to acknowledge for yourself, just like, I've been put a lot of pressure on my evolution. Maybe I'm forcing. Maybe I'm causing a mess. Wherever you are, just smile. That's where you are in your ever evolving story. Ever evolving. Wow, anchoring in all that we have channeled together in this season. I want to thank my special guests who were here this season to share their wisdom and their spirits and their stories. And I want to thank you for listening all season long and catching the pieces that you needed for your evolution of your story. And I want to take us here now. Let's just step just a little bit into the future. Because I have been working on the evolution of Big Life Magic, which is essentially me and everybody I'm connected to in my work, and also this podcast, I've been really working through essentially what we've been doing this season, like figuring out how can I lower my resistance? What do I need to connect to within terms of my inner critic so that I can work through silencing some of that critical voice so that my creative voice can come through. Connecting with elders, amazing women as inspiration and guides. All of that's been happening. And I'll tell you where I've landed. This is where I've landed. The magic is secondary. It's about the women. Now, I learned this first through the Big Life Magic Maker, the community of women who meet online regularly to just be amazing women, support each other, tap in, tell the truth. And sure, we work with the moon and we're working on our intuition and we've got a whole heap of spiritual scaffolding. But what I now know to be true, really, the magic is secondary because it's about this connection space of these women coming together. And this is kind of where the evolution started with this, like, oh, if the magic's secondary, if the magic's kind of what I do to help activate or influence or impact, but what's behind that, it's absolutely connecting to women. But this is where I got when I went a little bit deeper. It's about this idea of being her, claiming who you know you are in your highest vibration, but it's really about reclaiming and reconnecting to just how freaking magical you are. Just how freaking magical you are. Because then here I went to, how many ways are we told as women that our emotions are too much, that we're being irrational, that our intuition is just that woo stuff, or it can't be trusted, it's not real. There's so many narratives that are telling us that what we know to be true, our truth, that voice of intuition, which is that voice that cannot lie to you, that is directly connected to the divine. For so long, we've been told that we're not allowed to operate from that place or express from that place. And if we do, we're just one of those woo people, woo women. I want to reclaim that for myself and for all of the women I connect to through, whether it's this podcast, my writing, or connection through Big Life Magic. See, the magic is secondary because actually what it's about is women remembering and reclaiming just how freaking magical they are. Because then from that place, as a collective of women, we can all evolve. Oh, hello. So I'm working on connecting to things like the books I used to love reading as a kid, which were about the midwives and the herbalists who were shamed or damned for their beautiful skills when the cultural landscape or the religious landscape changed. I spent my teenage years and my early 20s devouring those books. I now see why. I'm like, oh, I'm one of those women. I want all of us to reclaim it. And so many more threads for me because I allowed this evolution to get deeper. I gave it some space. I gave it some grace. I played with it. It's all about the women and this reclaiming of our first sense that we got on that first breath, our intuition, so we can live our beautiful, intuitively led lives, so we can all feel like I'm her. I'm her. So channeling that and coming through different ways. And you know what's happened next? I'm taking the summer off, my friends, because this place that I've arrived, I want to play there. I don't want to force what that looks like on a website. I don't want to force what that looks like in my teaching. Because as I look back, I can see in the months that have passed, these little intuitive hits as I was getting, it was like, go that way, let go of that, let go of that. No, this way, this way, this way. I can look back now and see all of those puzzle pieces. And now that I'm here, anchored in, oh, it's actually about the women and them reclaiming our birthright magic of our amazing emotions and intuition, and our leadership and our nurturing, like all of it, reclaiming all of it. Now that we're here, there's playtime in here, my friends. Which means You Are the Magic. After this episode, we'll be taking a play break and returning in September, because over the summer, there's some amazing women I'm going to be inviting to the magical stage. Because this is the other thing I realize. If the magic is secondary and it's actually about the women, let's bring on the women. I know so many amazing women, and you are going to get to meet all of them through this podcast, because I will be highlighting, celebrating, and supporting the voices of women who are living a big life. They're giving it a red hot go of being in it. And not only are they in it, they're connected to the magic they are creating and sharing with the world. And I will be sharing all of their stories, giving them space to share their stories here when we come back in September 2024. There's a lot of amazing women that you are going to get a chance to meet. Also coming up in the second half of the year, so many sprinkles of magic for Big Life Magic. So if you are not connected in any other way, you want to go to biglifemagic.com and either get on the mailing list or opt in for ATTUNE, which is the 5-day intuition activation. Everybody can do ATTUNE, because it tunes you back into that first sense, your intuition. I invite you to connect to ATTUNE. If you haven't already, I invite you to stay connected to me throughout the summer. You may get on the mailing list or follow me on Instagram at Big Life Magic. Or maybe you want to explore the community, the Big Life Magic Makers. Maybe you might want to come and check us out. Come to an event. See what it's like on the inside. Whatever it may be, I invite you to stay anchored into where you are in the evolution of your story, and know this to be true. Your story is forever evolving, and you can choose what your next move is. And sometimes that move is to not rush or force. Sometimes that move is to go deeper. Sometimes that move is to stop and celebrate where you have arrived. But no matter what the move is, no matter where you are on the journey, I lovingly invite this. Please, my friend, breathe it in and know it to be true, because it is. That it's you. You are the magic.